All right, we're back. So I am sitting here now with Michael Miller, who is the Director of Operations at Tiki's Bar and Grill. Michael, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, aloha. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, it's a beautiful day to be at NRA here in Chicago and seeing the gang from OneDine.
Yeah. So you guys, you're in Hawaii.
Correct. Yeah, we're located on Waikiki Beach.
Okay.
And we have more live music than anyone in the entire state of Hawaii right now.
Really?
Yeah, so 3 to 4 live bands, including at lunch.
At lunch? Lunchtime bands?
Lunchtime bands.
I love that.
And anything from contemporary to a little bit of reggae, Hawaiian music with hula dancers.
Oh, yeah.
We have this great celloist that actually plays that is unbelievable. He'll play with some tracks that he'll lay down first. And so we're known for having our live music. We're known for having our view as well.
Oh, I'd say so. I mean, like, the view in Hawaii is, like, unbeatable, right? No matter where you are, it's 360.
Sure.
It's panoramic views no matter where you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So kind of give me a rundown on, like, what's your signature dish? Like, if you were to go and you could only eat off the Tiki's Grill menu for the rest of your life, like, what is your favorite item on your menu?
Sure. So we're known for our fresh fish, right?
Okay.
So we have lots of fresh fish, but I'm actually going to talk about our ribs, our guava glazed barbecue ribs. Now, have you ever had guava before as a flavor? Maybe as a jam or a drink? Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I've dabbled in, like, kombucha from time to time, so I have a feeling I've probably.
So guava is a real unique Hawaii flavor.
Okay.
When you bite into a guava, it gives you think you're in the tropics instantly. Yeah. If you drink one of the drinks that have guava juice, it'll take you back if you've ever been into Hawaii before. So what the chef does is he actually makes a glaze, and we put it all over it. It's almost, some people say it almost has too much sauce on it. I think it's just perfect. And it's pull apart bones. But with this guava glazed, sweet, tangy flavor of the tropics, you get just this amazing flavor profile that pops in your mouth. And that's one of my favorite. And I love fries too, right?
Yeah,
so it'll come with fries.
Oh, yeah, of course. Are they seasoned? Seasoned fries?
Yeah. So we also. Now, are you familiar with the furikake? Have you seen
furikake? Oh, yeah. I'm a huge poke fan. Like, so
great.
Yeah, right. That's the food that takes me back.
Sure.
I used to live in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes me back to, like, the Southern California, like,
absolutely,
sitting by the beach. Like, you have some fresh fish. You got the furikake. Always put on the poke bowl.
Right. So I'm going to segue into that. What we do on the fries is we actually we have a sauce that we'll put on, and then we'll sprinkle some furikake on it. And those are great. Now, it doesn't come that way with the ribs. You just have to ask for it that way. But going on to our poke, since you brought up poke, we have wonderful poke sliders.
Oh, man.
So we do them on almost like what's a big round wonton chip. Very big one.
Love it.
And there's three of those on the plate. And then
Love it.
We mix and toss the fresh fish in, with the right amount of soy sauce in it, the right amount of onions and ogo. And then what we have is, it's maybe a little bit different, is inamona. Now, inamona is a relish only found in Hawaii. Now, other people may make it, and it's made from the kukui nut. Now, the kukui nut, have you ever seen people wear the nuts around their neck?
Oh, yeah. Right. The brown ones.
Correct. Yeah. So those are the kukui nuts. And it's also the candle nut tree. Has a real high oil content in it. So what you do is you crack those nuts open, you scoop out the meat, you put it with a mortar and pestle with the Hawaiian salt or the pa'akai that comes right out of the ocean, and you grind that up, and you make this wonderful relish that you put on the top of it. You don't put too much, just a little bit, but it's a real great flavor profile. And you'll know if you've kind of went to here on the U.S. mainland, the big island as we call it out here. If they have inamona in it, they probably have somebody that's either lived in Hawaii for a long time or is from Hawaii.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to lie to you. This is making me super hungry. I've been living for the last 2 days off of just, like, little cheese samples and quarter hot dogs. So talking about all this fresh fish and these incredible ingredients is like, you're really speaking my language.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the NRA show. So what's, our idea here is, right, the industry is huge. The restaurant industry is huge, right? It's the second largest employer behind the U.S. government. not everybody can come to the show. Like, give people who maybe weren't able to be here. Like, what is it? What's it about? Like, what's the vibe, man? Like, what's your takeaway from the show?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things are the people, right?
Yeah.
So, and having a human connection with different people. Now, I come from Meg early on, about 4 days before the show opens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the marketing executive group, which is part of the NRA.
Right.
And I go to a conference first, and I always get fired up when I'm there. In fact, that's where I met your founder, Ram, originally, many, many years ago, back when Marketing Vitals, now Red Onion, was around. And then when he created OneDine, when the pandemic hit Hawaii, I knew Ram. And Ram reached out and said, hey, I have this product. If you need it, I'm not charging for it. I'm going to help you out with it. And it was, back then, the pay at the table just wasn't as common with some of these legacy systems. And he came in and showed us and helped us out and helped so many people out. But that was also because of that relationship, because I knew him, right? And I think you can call on different people that you meet. They might be vendors, but I didn't buy anything for years.
Right.
And we were no longer with Marketing Vitals, I think, when the pandemic hit or we had to stop it. And it was amazing what we were able to do and survive through this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something that we still hold near and dear to our hearts, right? The idea that a lot of these vendors, like they'll say, and this is going to be a shameless plug from OneDine, so like beware, right? But like a lot of the vendors are like, oh, we really we care about customers, we care about the restaurant industry, we care about this. But like during the pandemic, we did that, right? Like we gave a bunch of software away just to help restaurants like yourselves get through the hump of it, right? But you're absolutely right. You come to these shows and you get to meet, like, how often is it that you're going to be able to go? I mean, I'm looking here, I see like 30 brands, right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to meet the top level executives for most of these brands.
Right.
And you're going to be able to build these relationships, right? And you never know. You do it the right way, right? I'm a sales guy by nature, right?
Sure.
I do partnerships, I do integrations, I do marketing, but everybody's in sales. Right. And so if you do sales the right way, it's building that relationship. And so as long as you go and you have those good relationships, build those good relationships, it can come down to help you later down the line, right? You're not always being sold to.
Right.
So if somebody were to be coming to the NRA show or any other trade show or restaurant show or whatever the case might be, what kind of advice would you give them?
Sure.
Being on the restaurant side, to prepare, to kind of mentally get in the right headspace.
I think use the tools that you have in front of you. So if you're on an iPhone or you're using the Google platform, use some type of notes or something like that, and start to build what your plan's going to be. 60,000 people showed up for this show, right?
It's a ton of people.
Yeah, I mean, basically take a couple of baseball stadiums and spread them out next to each other with all these people. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but have a plan that you put together. And the first thing that you want to do is look for your vendors that you already deal with, that you love. Make sure you stop by their booth and tell them that you love them, tell them why.
Yeah.
And next, stop by the booth of the vendors that you're struggling with, right? Could be tech, could be a uniform manufacturer, could be a food product, could be a liquor, could be just about anything. And you'll act like you said, you'll meet some of the CEOs and some of the top people, and the companies that really care about you, they're going to listen. Now, they may not be, most of them aren't going to be able to fix the problem on the spot unless it is something that they can fix on the spot. But if it's a feature or something's failing with it, they're going to listen. And some of these guys have turned around and incorporated suggestions. So those are the things. And then make that list of what are you really looking for. So one of the things we were looking for, and I still haven't found it yet. So if somebody's watching this and they hear my plea, I'm looking for a stainless steel portable bar that I can roll in and out for service. Now, we do such great volume. I need something that can handle volume. It can't be a little dinky plastic thing that's set up just for the trade show. So that's one of the things I haven't found yet. But I haven't finished the whole show. But if somebody sees one or they're watching the podcast, please reach out.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a call to action. So have you been over on to the equipment side?
I have, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So I've looked around, but sometimes you just don't. I mean, it is a little bit overwhelming because you have so much to see.
Well, that's it, right? And it seems like they're kind of tucked. You know, like you'll have like a deep fryer vendor, you'll have like a refrigerator vendor, you'll have an apparel vendor, and then you'll have your aluminum or your steel, your stainless steel manufacturer, like a custom fabricator, will just be wedged in there between like two totally random things, and it's like you need to go find it. And I think that's a good point too, right? Of take the time, like you're here, right? You're in Chicago, you're in Atlanta, you're in Vegas, wherever the show is. Take the time to go around and actually talk to people, learn what they've got going on, because they might surprise you as to what they're actually doing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really good advice. And I love it. Yeah, I love it. So, have you seen anything cool at this show?
Oh, absolutely. Spectacular technology, right?
Yeah.
The innovation in technologies are always evolving. And some of the hardware is interesting as well, but the food and beverage innovation, the flavors from around the world, that you get introduced to here, there's a direct supplier of saffron, right? That I think it's coming from the Middle East, and absolutely fascinating. And they paired up with the guy that's making cornbread, so you get to try this cornbread saffron, and the guy talks about it, shows it all. And you'll go home with samples upon samples. You better bring an extra suitcase if you come to this show.
Yeah.
And then I guess another one of my pro tips is take whoever you're talking to's business card, hold it up next to the booth, and take a picture of it.
There you go.
That way, there's so much information, and you only have so much time. If you really try to gather everything at the time, it's going to just take too long. And then a couple of days after the show, sit down, go through all your photos, make your notes, and then start sending emails out to people that you are interested in.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love the photo aspect of it, because so many times, I mean, this is my 10th year at NRA.
Right.
And so many times you'll see something and you'll be like, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Just like you'll remember that password, right? When it's like, oh, you got to change your password. Like, oh, I'll do something unique, but I'll remember it. No, you won't. But that photo, it'll trigger, oh, I remember I was there. I remember we talked about this. And then you can reference that later. Right. And for our vendor friends, right? Something that I have found for follow-up that really helps is doing the same, right? So when I do my follow-ups, I'll actually send a picture of our booth. And I'll say, hey, we met at NRA, because I know that you've talked to 10,000 different people. Right. But same effect, right? Of, oh yeah, I remember I was at that booth, and I remember the colors, and I remember this and the video and all. It triggers their memory, right? So for our vendor friends who might be listening, it's a good idea. Maybe throw a visual reminder in there, maybe a selfie. Don't make it like a weird selfie, right? But throw like a photo of some sort to trigger that thought. Right.
I think you're absolutely right. When you see realtors, right, they're famous, and there's big science behind facial recognition, right? People, when they recognize people beyond the name, and they tie it, and they see not once, so they met you once at the show as a vendor, and then you're following up again with your email that might have your photo in it.
Right.
And then if they have your contact that has your photo in it, now you're building this trust relationship with facial recognition, and you're getting that human connection. Now, if you're only selling, it isn't going to work. But if you're truly trying to build a relationship, and that's what I love about this show.
Well, and that's what we were going back to, right? That's what we were talking about before. Of like, you got to go in with the right. Like, it's not about it's about selling. Right? It's always about selling, but at the end of the day, it's about building the relationship, right? And that's how you do it. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and if I ask you, hey, do you know about this software, or I'm looking to do this, and it's not something you do, or even a food or a thing, and you go, yeah, you should go check out in the South Hall, about midway down, there's these guys that sell custom Tiki glasses called Progressive Glass, right? And if you're looking for that, and I send you there, and I said, when you're there, make sure you tell Dean Michael sent you. Like, that means a lot to Dean and his team, and vice versa. Now he's gonna remember that, and when I'm looking for help for something else, he may say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate that you did that. Let me do this for you.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And it's so funny, too, because like most people, I think, would use like a tiki glass as like an ironic, like, hey, if you're looking for tiki glasses, but it's like very relevant to your all's world.
That's what we do, right?
100%, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're so successful with it. We sell a pallet cube. If you imagine what a pallet cube looks like, of glassware a week.
Is that 3x3x3?
Yeah.
Holy
cow. Yeah. A little bit more. I think it's a little bit more than 3, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
that's a lot of tikis.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right. And
that's
so,
awesome.
And people want to take a little souvenir and different things home and things like that. So at the show, you're going to find things like that. You might find the cheese vendor. You might find, the technology. And that's, I think, one of the best things is you can have a quick without even having to go through a whole demo.
Right.
If you have the time for a demo, then great. But if not, at least you get a taste of what that product might be, and you can tell most guys, hey, follow up with me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they will at your convenience.
100%. Well, Michael, I appreciate your time. I don't want to, keep you from getting out and exploring even more.
Yeah.
So is there any last thoughts, any final thoughts you want to give before we cut you loose?
No. I'm going to put a little plug out for OneDine and what it does, right? So for those that don't know or have never even heard of it, but might be watching me because, you're a friend of mine on LinkedIn or something, what OneDine does is it'll work on top of existing POS platforms, right? And they'll have a tablet component, or they'll just have a software component for you. And it gives you a lot more flexibility for your staff, a lot more fast, easy of access and things. And I'm not going to sell it to you completely, but if you look at their client list and who some of their big people are, you'll be amazed at what OneDine has to offer you. So,
well, I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. So, I appreciate the plug. And if you guys ever find yourself in the beautiful state of Hawaii, please stop by Tiki's and give Michael and his team a shout and take home a Tiki, a Tiki glass.
Right on, Ryan. Thanks so
All
much.
right, thank you so much. Aloha.
Okay.